the drums to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of the world that we defy. The soul right of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Welcome back, everybody. We are keep on rolling along here at the officially unofficial LJL. Two fresh, bright, shining new faces joining us on the official unofficial desk, or is it the unofficial official desk? Either way, Nymira and Midnight. Welcome. Oh, it's too late for this. All right. You're in Australia County now. I hate to tell you, OCE invasion, full force right now. I'm the charisma. Midnight, you're going to be my muscle. How does that sound?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with muscle. Sure.
Oh, come on, I see you. You got something there, right? I mean,
well, I'm certainly neither, because I mean, look at these noodlums. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite, but I'm not a Machamp.
Oof. All right. Well, it just makes this conquest that much easier. Either way, though, back to the focus. We got a fun match for everyone. if it was still in spring. Burning Core versus DFN. When we think of these two teams, we think of best of fives going the distance, top lane battles, historic clashes. Not really been the direction this season is going on. And so, Nymera, I'm just going to go to you first in this one. What is wrong with Burning Core? Why are they not that burning light, that burning sigil that we've come to know them by in the past?
What a multi-layered, multifaceted question, because at the end of the day, we came into spring thinking that Burning Core would be potentially a top 3 team, because we saw in 2020 summer them go the distance against admittedly a struggling DFM, but go to 5 games and just nearly take it away from them. They didn't though. They come into spring. They change out their mid laner, Yu-Gi-Oh, this rookie, for Gariaru, one of the veterans of the league at this point. And we thought, hey, that's potentially an upgrade. Of course, Yu-Gi-Oh had a good finish to the split in summer 2020, and it just didn't click. And nothing was working. And suddenly Ray Farkey was put on Gragas duty when he's been playing carries. And that didn't really work out either. And then in summer, we've been seeing a little bit of a return to Ray Farkey, going back towards Jaces, going back towards some stuff which can go a bit harder on that front. And even that's not worked. So even the easy fix, what I'm saying, just play around topside, hasn't really been working out. At least once has been feeling a little better about things, but that is very few and far between for the hopes of Burning Core fans.
There is one name, though, that you didn't bring up in that, or if you did, I may have missed it, but I think Midnight might know who I'm talking about right here. This is someone that you did say you were excited to go in on. Like, let's talk the bot lane. Let's talk Yuhi.
I'm going to need more coffee for this.
Yeah, look, there's no real deception or surprise. See, that the bottom lane of Burning Core is, well, it's on fire. And unfortunately, not in a good way. And particularly, I think the more heartbreaking thing for me in that bottom lane isn't, I'm not going to talk much about Yuhi. I want to talk about Proud. Like, imagine being this guy in the bottom lane. He's, as a support, he actually doesn't look that bad when he does get to play. But then you look at the lanes that he's in, and he's like, well, he's not allowed to do anything because he can't roam because Yuhi needs someone to look after him. And when he's in lane with Yuhi, he just sort of is forced to stand around and wait for Yuhi to get caught out. So it's really heartbreaking for me to look at Proud and be like, look, you got a playmaker, and he's just sort of stuck there like a jellyfish, poor guy.
Well, if there's a time to turn things around, I think this is the stage to do it. Going up against DFM, and in particular, this bot lane, which has 100% turned things back around. We want to talk good supports. Gang and Yutapon. These two have been phenomenal. Unfortunately, we can't go into too much details. It does look like our picks and bans have started up just now, so I'm going to leave that to you guys. But keep in mind, this bot lane matchup as we go forward. Everyone might be looking up top. I'm looking at down below. Either way, you two guys, go ahead and take this one away.
Of course he's looking at down below. He's Australian.
Yeah, I say, what a surprise. The Australian caster wants to look down under when it comes to the pick ban phase. Who'd have thought that one coming? But I do agree with him, despite, also being an Aussie. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, I've got to admit my biases, man. If you can't admit that you're biased, then, Twitch chat will do it for you. So I think the one interesting thing is, though, look at the bans. Nothing involving bot lane here, minus the Ziggs, which is the last one to come through.
So, I mean, we just saw DFM versus Axes, and there was a triple ban versus Zarya in the first. Not quite matching that because the Lucian has been dropped for the Gwen ban. This has opened up, of course, with everything dropped across the board. The Xin Zhao first pick. We've been seeing a lot of Diana favored over Xin Zhao in the LJL. I'm more of a fan of Xin Zhao than I am of the Diana, but seeing this diving champion coming in, the immediate response is Thrasher Phelios. Good luck diving into that.
Yeah, I love the Thresh locking him to kill. I'm just a fan of the champion in general. And you give that to someone as competent as Gang, like, that's such a good champion to pair up with the immobile Aphelios. The hover of Shaco, though. What are the chances Shaco continues the 100% win rate Shaco in the LJL? What are we thinking?
On 11.14... maybe not so much, because of course Stride Breaker is no longer this all-encompassing crazy item. You dash in, invisible for the 90% slow, which lasts for just far too long. It does decay much quicker at this point. Even against something which is more mobile like the Varus, I was thinking you're probably not going towards that. So, both bot lanes locks in, of course, when in a brief time talking about this matchup and the highlighted matchups. We did talk about, yeah, okay, maybe bot lane is going to be a worry for Burning Core, as it has been for, let's be honest, most of this year. So locking in a priority AD carry in the Varus is nice. Aphelios Thresh, though, you don't get to deny the wave from them at level 1, not with this combo. And that is normally a bad sign for this lane, because Aphelios starts just hitting with the Severum onto the wave. You don't get to poke him out because he keeps that healing getting up. And then after that point, they get to control the wave. They get to choose what they do with the map.
Yeah, and you pair it up with the Leona, which 9 times out of 10 I would love, but I don't like Leona into Thresh, because a competent Thresh player simply flays you out of the Zenith Blade, and suddenly you can't engage. So it's going to be onto Gang messing up, as opposed to Proud doing well, which I'm not a fan of personally.
So, I mean, okay, so, obviously this is our first time casting here, though, which I'm very excited for.
I think it is, yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. So, just catching me up on you as a person, as we, got some time in our bands 4 and 5. So, what is your main role? Just so I'm kind of phrasing things in the right way.
Well,
or are you an autofill player?
I just returned from being a top laner and getting just ignored up there. I am now a Thresh one trick again.
That makes a lot of sense. So like, yeah, that sounds like someone that knows their champion, just like, of course, Rayfarki knows that Darius going to be denied that. And Gadiadu's one trick as well. Well, I say one trick. Their most powerful champion, in my eyes, has been that Twisted Fate. So DFM just saying, yes, we don't need to ban out one role for the sake of purposes with nameplates off. We're just going to ban away the strongest champions for these individual players with the nameplates plastered on their foreheads.
And now it puts Burning Core in a bit of an annoying situation, because, Rayfarki loves the Darius, Gario loves the Twisted Fate. Suddenly you're like, well, you can take whatever you want, but you're not getting what you're best at, so good luck. And if Heavy locked in a Malphite, that makes top lane just a slog to get through, if that becomes the case. Okay, just Unipon, can you make up your mind, mate? Thank you, there you go. Lee Sin, which will probably go to Arya?
I mean, so, and you're right to have kind of like some, like a little bit of vagueness about that, because Set could go top, or it could go mid, Lee Sin could go top mid jungle, and now seeing the Gnar into the top side, you can kind of do whatever. You could lock that Lee Sin top, leave Arya on the set mid. I'm not sure if he's played it before. I know we joked about, even if he hadn't played it, we considered him to be one of the best set mids in the league, because like, look, he's best at everything. Why can't he be the best at this? With the Rise there, I don't know. I think actually the best decision is to put Lee Sin jungle, and then maybe put the set into mid. You can give the kill matchup into top lane. Ebby loves playing Akali into the Gnar. It is 11.13 though, 14 though, so Akali has been nuked out of the matter.
Well, I don't think that matters too much. They are hovering it, and they will grab it for themselves there. So now we're going to find out, as you're saying, lane allocations. Who's going to get the kill lane? Who's just going to have to survive? And of course, surprise, surprise. Come on, move it around. Unless Gang is playing a new support Akali, which I would love to see in anything other than my solo queue games.
I remember season 3 when we had Fiddlesticks and LeBlanc support. We had our assassins down there. That was a time. For those of you who never watched like Korea in season 3, it was a trip. We had Heimerdinger jungles. There was I think it was Pumandu was a LeBlanc support main actually before Faker kind of came onto the scene.
I think,
so what it seems to be
down there as well.
Yeah, what it seems to me is the Akali going to the mid lane and the Set going on the top lane. I think this is the right choice for the Lee Sin particularly, because I look at Lee Sin against the Rise and against the Gnar. You have an okay matchup versus the Gnar, but you're not going to get the free lane priority you normally get that champion on your roster for in this kind of game, even with the Iron Spike weapon, the E, because Rise just pins you in place and chunks out half your HP when you do try and go for those cheeky wave clear combos. Having something like the Akali, it keeps the Rise a little more to account. Plus, it's Arya, one of the best players in the league, playing a mechanical champion. We love to see that.
Yeah, and they're really going to have to make this work, because you look at DFM's lineup, and there's one glaring thing that I always like to see in compositions, and I'm not seeing it here, which is safe ranged wave clear. Everyone, with the exception of Unipon, has to basically get up in the face of the minion wave to do clearing. Now, in the early game, maybe it's not the end of the world. But imagine a world where Burning Core get a Baron. How do DFM stall it out? Well, they engage. And if Burning Core have got a Baron over DFM, something has gone catastrophically wrong for DFM coming into that.
I mean, you flip the name on that, you say, going catastrophically wrong for Burning Core. That has been their mid-game. We have seen Burning Core trade early. We've seen once get fed on Kindreds and get themselves into a position where they might possibly carry, even with good compositions. And then just something goes wrong in the mid-game, and they overcommit to a dive, or they buy into a skirmish which they don't have everyone ready for, and they just end up losing the game from that point. So even though, I completely agree about, yes, wave clear is an issue if you do get late enough into this game and there's a Baron involved. I just don't trust Burning Core to come up with those leads. They have a lot to prove to me, and it'd be fantastic if they did. It is fantastic to have those upset Cinderella stories, much like we had in 2020 Spring with Axes, even when they went on a 0-6 loss streak and came back at the end of the split, to make something special of this end of the split and put their own name in the hat. It would be oh so difficult for them at this point, though, because I'm pretty sure they do have the 0-2 head-to-head versus the Hawks, and that means that even with Hawks, putting themselves in contention too, Burning Core have got almost no ways to make it into playoffs.
Well, I think that the only realistic way is they need to basically win, and it's going to be a tall order. They need to win everything from now on. There's no real leniency in that because they are sitting on a bit of a heartbreaking 1-7 scoreline coming into this game. If they don't win this, I think it's lights out for them. And it's a bit heartbreaking that of all teams, that is kind of the lights out fight for them if they lose. It
has to be this one. It's like that is, I'm a big fan of Metallica, and there's one of the timeless lines in one of their songs, which is when you come to see the shining light at the end of your tunnel, it's just a freight train headed your way, and this freight train goes by the name Detention. This freight train goes by the name of Detention FocusMe, and this is Detention FocusMe, of course, which is it struggled in week 1 and 2, picked up a couple of losses, 0-2 into a 1-1, and then we started questioning, this is the team we expected to go lossless. We expected them to go undefeated. What's happening? And I wasn't that impressed by their read on the meta. I wasn't that impressed by how they were playing around the fights which they were doing so well at in spring. Their first Heralds, their second and third Dragons. But now they've started to come online, and particularly with early pressure champions, and now doing that from bot lane as well, which they weren't doing in spring. This is a titanic team to try and bypass and try and keep yourself in that conversation. So I've been misinforming you. The team with the 0-2 head-to-head against the Hawks is actually Sengoku. So that's hard for them. Burning Core have a slightly easier route in, because if they end up matching game score with the Hawks and they capitulate towards the end of the split, we could see a tiebreaker to get into playoffs. We've seen it once before. We might see it again. I doubt it. Sat at 1-7. That is not the easiest record to try and turn around. Looks like we're just belaboring getting into a game right now, so we do have this time to wax lyrical about some of these teams. But yes, with that, you speak of the devil, and it shall appear. We're going into the rift.
Yeah, diving right into the game here between, of course, Burning Core and DFMZ. Will Burning Core be able to, start the return to a better time? Or will DFM charge forwards like the freight train and just sort of plow right through? Well, time will tell, as no early game shenanigans will be coming in foot, which is, for me, a little bit unfortunate. I love the level 1 shenanigans coming through.
But particularly in the LJL too, because let me take you on a trip down memory lane, because actually it wasn't even that long ago, because we go back to last split, and particularly last split, you look at what V3 were doing in their playoffs, and in best of fives, you could tell exactly who had done their prep and who hadn't, because we had just these weird convergences in bot lane or top lane mid-brush, fighting over a ward, because that some lanes love to get that early ward to establish priority. You can look down in bot lane, actually. There's even a ping from it from the side of the FM. Those wards can be very, very valuable in establishing early safety or priority, particularly for these 2v2s. We've occasionally seen fights over them. I have to speak of the devil, and we're going to get something.
Hopefully. We're seeing I think it's just posturing here. Neither of them really want to go forwards there. Leona needs that level 2. Gang with the flay is good, but again, you really want, speaking as a Thresh 1 trick, you kind of need the hook to pull them in so your AD carry can free hit. But what
you can do is bank on the fact that Leona's not going to go for the all-in, flay for the damage, use the passive auto attack, and suddenly Proud is down, 200 HP. That's okay, particularly when you're, you've got yourself an AD carry that wants to be brawling at level 2 as well, and you want to make sure that Leona is not going to have that freebie, which they so often had. Credit to Burning Core, though. They haven't let Utapon stick to that wave without punishment. He's had to pop his pot early. We're going to be fighting over a level 2.
Yeah, likely, and it looks like actually Burning Core might get the level 2 early. Look at Utapon and Gang. They've fully retreated from the minion wave. So yeah,
but they've
level
dragged the
2
melees back with them, so they actually get that level 2 anyway under tower. They get it there, not at threat level 2 to the level 1 player at that point. The micro thing's going well for DFM. I'm so glad the observers hung on around bot lane here, because often Burning Core are a team and the bot lane, which we have had several issues with, of course, down towards that bot side of the map. But early on, first 3 minutes, at least taking some boxes there.
Yeah, making some good movements. And again, this is the bottom lane that I know I was very critical of coming into this.
Oh, we
game,
all have
like,
been.
you know,
We all go through that
Okay,
phase.
yes, we all have been, but I know I have particularly been quite worried about the impact Burning Core's team, bot lane has in favor of their own team. So, to see them actually doing well in the lane for now is a good sign. But wait, what's happening top lane? Wait, what? Ray Farky,
Oh,
no!
Ebby.
That's not allowed, Ray
Oh,
Farky.
no.
What?
Oh, Ebby on the set. This guy has done so well in lanes which, you just don't expect him to keep you in lane with. We saw it at MSI, his Gnar versus a Jace. You're thinking, wait, that's not meant to be a matchup which Gnar wins. It takes the set into the Gnar, gets the solo kill early on.
That's just illegal, is what we just witnessed there by Ebby. That should not be happening at any point. Now, Ray Farky, early TP used, which means there's no global shenanigans coming out. And Ray Farky is just going to be in a really rough situation, because what do you do now that you
solo top crab?
Yeah,
he just solos top crab too. I mean, sadly that doesn't go to the Lee Sin, but I mean, this is what Ebby just continually does. He hits the level 3 times the XP. Of course, he knows that he's zoning the Gnar off of those sets, those opposing minions too. He does this all the time. Just walks beyond the wave, knows that he's got the extended trading power.
So what happens here? Because Ray Farky just jumps in, gets pulled back in, and can't get out. Oh man, that's...
I mean, that second face break is the real killer there, because it gets the full stun, cancels the leaps, and your first gap closer does not work out. He's gonna get stunned again. This is just bullying at this point, Ebby. Come on.
Oh, Ebby has no mercy though. When you play Set, you need to be this aggressive. Set is a...
No,
I mean, we've all seen the mathematically correct Set builds. Like, this champion is ridiculously strong if you hit them hard enough. So, I mean, why wouldn't you continue the bullying up there, man?
And of course, we've seen the other side of this too. What happens when Set doesn't get rolling, and sadly have to go reference that MSI loss to Cloud9 in the second round robin, where we had our hopes up, our hopes and dreams. And of course, coming towards the end of the split, we would hope that DFM would be more dominant within this region to give ourselves some more hope towards future international events, particularly those Worlds play-in stage, which we have our eyes cast onto. And Ebby is a big proponent of our success before. Good to see him on form here.
Yeah, and that is the... Burning Core, when we're coming into this game, we kind of talked about, well, maybe top lane could be an area Burning Core can try and win, because we're not confident that their bottom lane is going to be able to perform. Well, Evy's just sort of looked at that idea, laughed, and then solo killed Ray Farky in top lane. So now you've got Burning Core top lane who, hold on, bottom lane, some shenanigans here, but Steel is lurking in the back line if they do overcommit here. Yuhi and Proud need to be careful. Proud, watch out, buddy. You're going to run right first into at least Sin, and the immediate flash then. I do not want to be here.
So that's 2 summoners away from Burning Core bot lane. Once is on the bottom side of the map, though, could continue the trade.
Yeah, goes on to Steel. Steel goes for the fight there, but I don't really think he's feeling it here. Charging forwards does have backup. That is... Steel's like glaring his fangs at once, and one's like, oh, maybe he's confident. I don't know, guys. I'm now nervous, and runs away.
It's like, oh no, it's a Shin so early game. Ooh, I'm so scared. And then you've got a Lantern Shield coming in as well. I'm actually, so when you have the Guardian on the Thresh, I assume that's when you max the W. That's what I've seen before. I'm not sure what it is on the current patch, but when you see that rune, it just means you actually have a significant amount of turnaround shielding. Because of course Thresh's damage falls off throughout the game anyway, but your single target peel gets really, really good.
Yeah, it's super nice. I personally don't do it, but it's what I've seen people do. I'm the Thresh main that maxes Q and gets all the
goes after shock, goes for the kills at level 2. Yeah, I got you. I know your kind.
I'm that kind of Thresh. You know what my kind is like. I mean, it's the fun Thresh, but Gang, I do hope he is maxing the W, just because, as you said, the shielding is ridiculously good come later stages. And coming up to the 7-minute mark, we're getting a slower game than I was expecting. I kind of expected DFM and particularly Steel to, have maybe 2 or 3 kills under their belt, and so far it is just the one in Ebby's back pocket.
But they do have the 10 CS lead on bot side, and that's against a Varus who's not often used to not being denied farm. They're going for the poke build. Yes, they're going to be relevant at all stages in the game because poke Varus is just very hard to not be relevant on, I suppose. And you've also got the Akali in mid, which means that you can't really fight pre-6. You can fight now, though, especially with a set TPing bot side.
Oh, and if he has level 6, the TP comes through. Now they know they're in trouble. Yuhi is going to be the target, slammed into the ground. The immediate flash, will they be able to get in one piece? The answer doesn't look like it. It looks like DFM aren't even going to lose anyone. Gary Yaru comes in the backside. The lantern for safety, the perfect execution to get over the wall, and Gang with the hook, baby! He knows what he wants! Give it to him with the Moonlight Vigil! One more hit! Goodbye, Unipon! Grabs that one, into the fight, but once is gonna get cut down! The ants go marching one by one into the fight, and one by one they will get cut down by the Burning Core! Gang doesn't give a damn about your damage!
That is absolutely illegal! DFM, you cannot show that on a family-friendly screen! Now I have all sorts of fun language to use about Nephelios with the Calibrum. My favorite one is, naming all of his different ults, because they're not the same ability. That one is one of my favorites. It's the ace in the Calibrum, the Caitlyn lookalike. Zeroes in, snipes down the Jinzo. We'll see it on the replay. What a lethal play from DFM. They know that they have the absurd lead in topside, no way to cancel it out, and Ebby can tank up forever. You know that they've got the Haymaker. This disengage, one of the cleanest retreats from a tower dive which I have seen. The Burning Core, at that point, they're looking a bit red in the face and they go, well, we've got to get something back for this, surely. But all they find is a hook. All they find is that freight train. All they find is that bad end to their storybook. Utapon has the Conqueror stacked up by this point. They've had it for most of this fight. And once just goes in, once again, the army ants go marching in, and they find their own end.
And then, Gang, I need to see how... That's got to be single. That's single. That is single-digit HP, and thanks to the W max we were talking about before... Gang gets out in one piece. And do you want to know the most heartbreaking part? Ray Farkey couldn't join because obviously TP was burnt early. Ray Farkey doesn't get much because Steel was catching the wave on the top half of the map while that dive was going through. So even when DFM plan a dive, they're still taking the other half of the map into account.
Oh, Once has ult again, but this is dangerous.
Yeah, I think Once is just going to die here because Gang's on the way here. Kicks him into the waiting hands of Unipon. Who has a mythic. Gosh. This is brutal.
And this is something which I wanted to see from DFM coming into this split. And, of course, I've already waxed lyrical about DFM and their future prospects already, and partly that's because that's the kind of respect we give this team. That's what we expect from this team. But the fact that they can now play a more varied style of not just play to their solo lanes, maybe we can play through bot lane as well, that's a question that we were asking, wondering about, and this is the kind of game you love to see from them to understand that yes, they can play through whoever goddamn member they want to.
Yeah, and especially against a team like Burning Core, who has a weaker bot lane, this is the perfect game to play through bot half. It means that you're not risking a maybe 50-50 gamble of Ray Farkey turning it around on the Gnar or Gary Aru getting a really nice combo out of the Machine Gun Rise. It's an area of pressure you can exploit. And if you know there's a weakness, why wouldn't you try and kick it in? The turret's already fallen at 10 minutes. Unibon had a mythic, I think at 8 minutes, I'm pretty sure he had.
And that's a 2,500 gold lead.
And he's headed top lane for more gold. I think
at this point you have to.
Oh, God.
The times where we have seen Aphelios kind of succeed the most in the LJL, actually, I think towards summer 2020 V3, so that's a full year ago now. Now, is Archer on a team where they would lane swap at points and let Aphelios free hit on towers, get to a point where they are so far ahead of the curve, you basically can't fight after that point, because Aphelios is one of the most the gold efficient carries when it comes to carrying because they spike that hard towards the late game. The more levels you have as well, if you get that XP from solo laning, means that you have the higher base stats to have those crazy turnaround fights. In this iteration of FLS, you even have the 2-item spike of the your mythic, the shield bow, into the collector as well. You don't even lose out on that much damage by going for the shield bow first. The collector makes up for that in spades. And at this point, I look at what Burning Core bring to offer with a 0-1 Gnar, a 0-2 Xin Zhao. If you're diving in, I don't think you come out of that alive, and I don't think you take down the Aphelios.
I don't think it's possible you take down the affiliates, because let's say in a perfect world you get on top of Utapon and you somehow, proc the Immortal Shield Bow. Gang has a Lantern. Gang has Guardian. Gang has a lot of points in that shielding.
There's a play. There's a showstopper. Like, there are all too many ways to keep you in or out of the fight should DFM choose to, and that's the real power of this draft when it's ahead from DFM. As much as we said, yeah, against a Baron buff, they kind of run out of options. If they're ahead and they are in the fight, they choose how that fight wants to go, and Yuhi's doing the thing where he probably dies.
Oh, immediate flash, though. Good work from Yuhi to have the respect of saying, I'm not even going to try and outplay this, I'm just getting the hell out of dodge. And once is around, but yeah, they're not looking for anything more than that.
No. So that's a flash away from the AD carry. That's good. That's still a net gain for a relatively time-efficient play from DFM. So bot lanes have gone... So the Australia lanes. We have bot lanes in the top lane. Lucky to have the Yuan cost cast for this one. And that has left Set and Gnar alone in the long lane. Set is down in CS. Quite a lot of CS at this point, but does have those 2 kills to their name, and they're very happy that their AD carry is picking up the gold that they can't either way. And as we said, as much as it's nice to have some solo advantages on the Gnar, it's not really to the tune of the lead that you're seeing in the AD carries.
Exactly, and you can even sack Ebby in this position because, yes, you're down a little bit of CS. You've gotten enough gold, I think, from the 2 kills and the assist in the back pocket to sort of make up for that CS difference. And Ray Farkey does look like they're getting pushed around a little bit, and that's happening in the lane that you don't care about, because this is what DFM cares about right now. More gold on Utapon.
Yes, and they still had some Chakram stacked up from that wave. I know that Severum, Crescendum, is one of the favorite combos for the tower killing the single target damage. But if you are sat on a wave, the quickest way to actually immediately stack Chakrams is actually with the Infernum instead. Because if you drag that Dusk Wave across 6 minions, you immediately get all of those Chakrams back too, and then you just cannot fight this champion. So Utapon, with some of the strongest individual power in the game at that point, is just not someone you can tangle with. And this is why you can walk up. They're trying to go for a turnaround play though.
Oh no, Solar Flare completely misses it to DFM. Get a full retreat going on. Ray Farkey can look for something, but TP's in the back end as well. A beautiful stopper! That was amazing! And DFM decide this fight is over. You're not allowed to play League of Legends.
So Burning Core have found their no-leaf clover. They could not ride the wind becomes lightning. All the Metallica references in the world could not save this team from Ebby Set and from Utapon to Felios.
That must be one of the most brutal things I have ever witnessed in League of Legends there. Ray Farkey looks like he may have been able to get access to Utapon, and then Ebby's like, no, bad, and just slaps Burning Core down. I need to see this again.
I love myself some good old European history right here in Japan, because here we see the summary execution of many a monarch from Burning Core, and this is what happens when you overdive into a super hyper-fed DFM comp like this, because they get to choose the terrain, they get to choose everything. Mega Gnar just turns up in time to give the extra damage on the showstopper from their HP. 5-man. Mega Infernum Bomb, that's my name for that one, of course. And that's just the end of the fight. That is a ridiculously clean fight from DFM. Oh my god, they've turned up to play.
That was everything working in DFM's favor, and now 11 kills to nothing. An 8,000 gold lead. Once is barely allowed into his own damn jungle at not even 20 minutes. This is a travesty. They're trying to fight us, but I don't think they're allowed to. They might be able to get gang, but Steel's in the backline already kicking once in. They'll pick up one. Diving in for the roll is Ray Farkey trying to do what he can, but Utapon is just left on the backline with the Caliber and says, all right, let's do this in an area. And not going to be outdone by his AD carry. Decides he is getting involved in the play. Return is improperly dropped by Steel, but they don't give a damn. That turret is merely waiting for its death.
Yeah, and honestly, credit to Arya on the Akali. Not really had much to say about this player, as we so often do in DFM games. They are on the Akali, which, I assumed would be, less powerful. Not really skirmishing as well as before, especially with your ult damage down and not being able to cast your Q during the flight of your E as well, which has led to a lot of individual plays. Arya has been reaching the backline and putting in the extra inch of damage sometimes needed. Oh my god, is he just going to kill him? He's just going to kill him!
Welcome to a Fenophilios that has 2 items at 17 minutes. There is no escape. There is nothing you can do against this guy. And
strong side of Felios. A strong side Utapon. I have missed you. I mean,
This
we're going to
is-
have a really quick game here. I mean, I'm loving the fact that I get to cast you for the first time, like I'm saying, but this could be a pre-20 game. This could genuinely be that point, because we have seen Burning Core try to defend their turrets. We have seen them try to walk up in mid lane and do the travesty of try and wave clear. DFM don't even allow that. They will brook no argument against their dominance in this game. There's a 10,000 gold lead at 17 minutes. This is amongst the...
Yeah.
That is a 4,500 gold lead on one member at 18 minutes.
Well, that
Make no
is what
mistake, this
happens.
may be the most dominant game I've seen in LJL history. This is frankly ridiculous.
But it's coming on the back of, as we talked about, DFM identifying that Burning Core's bottom lane just isn't up to snuff, especially when you compare it to the way that Unipon and Gang can play, and the dive, and the counter-engage on the top half of the map. The way DFM has just played the game across the board has been arguably nearly perfect, with the exception of Gang getting just goon squatted and killed.
In a trade for like 3 people, I guess that's okay.
It's an acceptable casualty, but the council doesn't have to be happy about it. But it is DFM fan. You're looking at this game and you're thinking, well, this is a fantastic showing. Not because, it's one of the stronger teams versus, Burning Core, who's in last place, but because of the way DFM executed the game through the bottom lanes. Did once steal that?
Oh, Rizal.
Oh my god, wait, what? Gary Aru wants this as well, but they're going to be careful. Ebby does have access to the shield. Could just throw it out for that extra bit of poke, but is they're backing away. Unipon is with the rest of the team, and Arya does look like they want the flank here. Proud might just be caught out here diving on top of the Leona.
Oh,
they found
Yuhi.
Yuhi on the side of the Yuhi run! No, Yuhi goes down, and 30 Core are running for the hills, but will they get away from it? Steel is hungry for it, continuing to dive in, gets cut down. Ebby comes in from the flank, slamming down Ray Farkey and onto the solar flare as finally the Unipon gets interested. He's like, I think I will fight this one. As exhaust goes down, Gary Aru is flashing to safety and will be able to get out in one piece. So not as good as for DFM as maybe one would hope.
No, not quite as dominant as we've seen the earlier fights, but dominant nonetheless. They get to take control of the fight, and of course the map after that point. And at the end of it, Aphelios is still sat there alive on full HP. Yes, there's a teleport coming in. I do not think you want this fight still.
We are gathered here today to witness Gary Aru's execution. There's not a lot to say about that one, and he's probably going to join his mid laner at this rate there. The Shuriken, though, did land on Proud, and Arya does have stopwatch. I mean, you could go for this kind of dive if they're feeling it. I'm just saying.
I think maybe if you had the Aphelios ult, that's when you go for it. Of course, you're at 2.5 items at this point, and Utapon is going for the Bloodthirster third. I think that's the right choice, because again, what else does Burden Core's comp do at this point besides try and dive onto the Aphelios and remove him from the fight? Because you know that just with the level lead he's got, just with the raw amount of stats, even if it's not the most optimal damage items, he's always going to be a threat. And in this fight, the Aphelios isn't really the person controlling things. See that Arya and Steel, as a mid-jungle 2v2, just have unparalleled access to the backline with the mobility that they're afforded by stuff like the Shuriken, Flip, and the Safeguard as well. They use that to get on top of Yuhi, and there's just no safe place for this Varus to stand.
Well, talking about safe places, Burning Core looks like they're going to get picked onto a fight here. They will lose once at the very start, courtesy of Steel's kick. And Ray Farkey, despite being in Mega now, DFM still wanted a beautiful dodge from Arya that should get him access to the backline, but a lovely Mega buys a lot more time. Yuhi is left untouched. Now finally in the backline. Goodbye! I swear, you blink, Burning Core's there, you blink again, and Burning Core is gone from Summoner's Rift.
Oh my gosh, TFM, they really don't want any questions about this game. They want to go home, they want to get themselves an early dinner, and well, they're getting plenty fed on the Rift right now. Baron on the menu next. Utapon still deathless, still has ridiculous kill participation. Gonna get themselves a Baron to boot. Going into the replay from this, it starts off with Once trying to use, the Jin Zhao for their intended purpose, being the temporary frontline, someone that can do damage whilst also being there. Doesn't work when you're kicked towards the AD carry. Normally, that's a bad thing for the AD carry. Not when they are that fed and your Crescent Guard does kind of run out at that point. Ray Farkey does a good job of cancelling the Shuriken Flip. That very well could have saved everyone, except the hook comes in to deny the realm warp that Ray Farkey was buying time for. That's what leads to such a destructive fight from DFM.
I didn't even see the hook from Gang denying that realm walk there. That was a phenomenal.
Does it please the
defense.
Thresh main?
It scratches an itch I didn't know I had until I became a Thresh main. Yes, oh, look at the damage charts. That is one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever had to see.
Oh yeah, casually
4,000
out-damaging. Oh no, okay, not quite damaging the the whole team. I think it's like maybe about 500 damage short. Oh no, he's only like 0.8 of a whole Burning Core team as one person. What a shame.
How can you ever survive? That chart. I was expecting more actually from Udapon for the entire game, honestly.
Well, but you look at the poke virus, he's like, oh, he's always going to do damage. Aphelios has very specific windows where he can do it, which has been the entire game so far. That's why it's looking pretty okay still.
Yeah, and not to mention Udapon, I think he's on 4 items, if what I saw earlier, because he's got a Bloodthirster on top of that collector. And I think I saw something. Oh no,
almost
BF
a form
to something else. So
going into the GA last with the again, just for saying, I have the levels. I have the items now. No, I don't need an Infinity Edge. You see how much damage I've been doing. Oh my god, we can see the damage he's been doing.
Once is just getting bullied out. Yeah, 8 minutes, 27 seconds for the completed mythic item here. And that kind of sums up the game very nicely, right? It's been very much the DFM bot lane, specifically Udapon, bearing the fruits. And now with Baron in their back pocket, what can Burning... I'd say what do they do? 16,000 gold down. What can you do is perhaps the better question.
You know, most of the time, I do make a token effort to try and say, oh, you know, you wait for mistakes and stuff, but that's not going to cut it. I mean, what you need to do is not get into this position. You know, we talked about Baron being so important for Burning Core. It's so important for DFM to have against them at the same point. They're crushing through the rest of the base. 15 to 16,000 gold in the advantage, rather. I can do maths. But DFM can certainly count HP bars down to 0. Whenever they have the ability to turn on the damage, they just blow Burning Core away.
Yeah, and our DFM, they're just making sure they do a little bit of everything. Take out all the inhibitors, make sure you've gotten all the turrets, get your double super minions pushing in. And Burning Core, they need to make a decision. When is the fight that they go for? That will be their final fight. And Ray Farkey, close to getting Mega Nut. I think it could be soon rather than later.
Oh, that's the pick.
Looking for it. They might be able to get out Gang, but now where's the follow-up? It looks like DFM charging forwards. Udapon free hitting onto Ray Farkey. They Burning Core, they actually back up and they will get themselves 1 kill. It alleviates a little bit of pressure, but I'm not sure it saves them yet.
No, because that's a good pick on Steel though.
Yeah, they can get down Steel. That might be quite nice, but Arya's dived into the backline there. Once needs to buy a lot of room. Yuhi arrives as well for the fight, getting some hits in as Arya continuing that dive. Udapon gets some nice damage down, and unfortunately, goodbye, Yuhi. You're not allowed to be safe onto the Nexus, diving backwards for the Nexus turrets. No! So close to deny the Medjai stacks, but Arya finishes with a fully completed book and a 25-minute devastation of a match with DFM claiming the victory.
So ends the most dominant performance in LJL history. As the Nexus falls, that is a 20,000 gold lead, and there is no pike involved in that. There is no printing money from an ultimate. That is just DFM flexing their muscles and Burning Core being pushed to the wayside.
Yeah, and again, I just want to restate how, to me, smart it was that DFM looked at the Burning Core bottom lane and said, this is the lane we're choosing to win through. We're not going to try and challenge Ray Farkey on the top half of the map. We're not going to try and challenge Garyaru in the middle lane. No. We're going to go for the weakest part of Burning Core and kick the door down. And it went beautifully.
It absolutely did. Of course, we'll have a little bit more time to speak about that after a break. And we should cut to that right now.
run to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkest skies. The champions of the world that we defy. The soul roaring of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last
They were the officially unofficial top team in the official unofficial official tier list. And now we see why. DFM Domination Focusing Me, or Detonation, I suppose that's the real name, but they should change it to Domination because that's what they did today. Formal here again alongside, the boys, Midnight and Nymera. And after that game, I think questions need to be asked right now. Is this a case of Detonation FocusMe just flexing on all their competition? They're clearly back in that peak form. Or is it just running into the bottom team on the ladder and an Axis Gaming that just were not themselves today?
Bit of both.
I mean,
It's a bit of both because, we were talking about this off air and this is a very difficult game to talk about. As much as Joker's like, wow, this is illegal, you can't show this on the screen. And I hope that didn't upset producer Rebrom when I was like, take it off stream. This was the kind of game where I didn't expect to bring much out of it. And I thought that even despite that, rather, we managed to find something to talk about and take away from this game, which is DFM can play through bot lane. They can be lethal through bot lane. And that's a very important diversifier to their game plan.
And I just want to say, on that point, it wasn't even the plan coming into this game could have been, in theory, executed against any team, right? It was the dive on bottom lane where they got the double TP down to commit the dive onto Yuhi. In theory, you could have done the same setup and it would work against any team because you had to see the flank TP ward. So, as you said, it's a good sign of life for a team that now you've got 3 threats: top lane, mid lane, and your bot duo.
It's interesting, though, that you bring up that it works against any team, though, because that's essentially, if DFM is playing at this level, that's what they're going to have to do. I mean, they are the team with that international experience. They are still the favorites to probably get that slot into Worlds. Do you see a world where they can play this dominant and this style of League of Legends, I suppose, on that world stage? Will they be able to get away with what they did just here when going up against the best from other regions?
That is the $1 million question, because I am bluntly quite tired of LJL teams not adapting to the international meta and struggling to take their own style, which they succeed with, and then perform on an international stage. And even this last MSI, we saw 1 or 2 games where, like, you've bluntly just not ended up sticking towards your style, and you've gone away from the playbook, and it's hurt you. So if they stay doing this, and this stays relevant going into Worlds, and we don't have a major upheaval, then yes, I think this is a team which can make it then, and potentially be the first LJL team ever to make it through to an international group stage. I would love to see that. There is still a weight of history to buck the trend of, though, and that's always going to be the question. We know they have the individual star power. We know that they can take down some of the best teams in the world on a good game. Question is, can you do that consistently enough throughout a best-of-1 group stage at that level to bring back something for the LJL to be proud of? And that's going to be a difficult climb still.
You know what? If OCE can do it, I think the LJL can do it too. All right. I have the faith in that. But speaking of needing to find some faith, Midnight, I'm going to throw this to you. What do we do with Burning Core at this stage? Because I'm pretty sure they're about to go out there on the Rift again against what should be their biggest rivals right now in Sengoku Gaming. But Sengoku found a win earlier today. Burning Core did anything but that. What do we do with this team right now as they look ahead towards this next game?
Okay, you could look at this particular game and say, look, what is Burning Core doing here? But what you have to remember is that for the likes of DFM, looked at this game and had to say to themselves, well, this just needs to be as expected. You would expect DFM to run a train on top of these Burning Core, just looking at how they've been performing in the last couple of weeks. So the Burning Core, especially if you're a player or a fan of the Burning Core, you're not looking at this game and thinking, damn, we could have had them. No. You're looking at this game and thinking, I hope that the players learnt from that experience. You're hoping that they got a better understanding of what is going on in the meta, maybe how to read against stronger opponents, and use that experience into this next game here. You weren't entering the DFM matchup expecting to win. You're entering this second game with the expectation to perform well. So I think, yeah, for Burning Core, it's a matter of you expected DFM to run a train on you. Now you're against the people that you can drag down and try and, take down yourself.
I would bring up the fact, though, that Sengoku, from what we saw before, because you're talking, hey, let's go back to Convention. Sengoku's victory in Convention came through Yumi Sivir bot lane. And that, to me, seems anything but. So,
This is so
do you
weird.
really fall back on Convention, or do we just embrace the chaos for this upcoming game? Because let's be honest, this is our game of the week, right? Why not go all in?
Because one thing, I was going to say this during cast at some point, but then, I mean, everyone died, and it's kind of hard to talk about mini things when everyone's dead on your screen. You've got yourself a real situation to talk about. What DFM did this game is oddly reminiscent of, like, Sengoku Plus from last split, where you would play around a Felios Thresh bot lane, have jungle pressure down there, and play for bot lane through the rest of your map too, while this duo lane is doing well. Except DFM can do that with incredibly strong solo laners too, whereas Sengoku, what they were playing today and found success with, was not really like that. It was actually playing through, oddly, what DFM have done in the past, through a strong mid laner, coming into these mid-game brawls and giving themselves a sizable advantage. The playbook's kind of been flipped in these cases. So I'm really interested to see if Sengoku was doing this as a one-time thing, just the singular game plan, or whether they will go back to what we expect a bit more of them, and whether Burning Core will fall to the same kind of style again.
That is the $1 million question, I suppose. As mentioned, it is sort of that game of the week, because why not? It's Burning Core versus Sengoku at the bottom of the ladder. Who is going to climb out of that pit and leave their mark? I mean, Sengoku put a good effort for it. Perhaps it'll be Burning Core. We can discuss all this and a bit more after a quick break, but when we come back, it's going to be the game you don't want to miss. Stay with us. More LJL when we come back.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drums to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call?